Hello! In today's lesson we're going to learn how to divide decimals by decimals. But in order to do that, we're going to use one very important rule. But first let's write down an example. So we're going to divide 3.64 hundredths by 1.4 tenths. What's an important rule that we always have to remember? We can't start dividing by a decimal fraction unless we write down the divisor as an integer. What am I talking about? According to the rules of division, I should be dividing by a whole number. But I don't have an integer, I have a decimal. So I have to turn this decimal fraction into a whole number. How do I do that? Let's write down first this division like this. So I'm dividing 3.64 hundredths by 1.4 tenths. I was talking about how we can't divide by a decimal. We need to turn that decimal into a whole number. And how do you turn it into a whole number? In this case, the basic property of fractions will help us. To do this, we multiply the denominator by 10. But if we increase the denominator by a factor of 10, then I also increase the numerator by the same factor. The reason for multiplying by 10 is because it shifts the decimal point one position to the right. Consequently, the denominator becomes 14 in the final result. However, if I were to shift one symbol in the denominator and multiply the numerator by 10, the result would be that I need to shift one symbol in the numerator. As a result, I would obtain a value of 36.4 tenths. Well, now I can divide 36.4 tenths by 14. By the rule we're using, divide by column, 36.4 tenths I'm dividing by 14. Considering the whole part, 36 I divide by 14, taking 2 of each. 2 times 14 is 28. Subtract 36 minus 28, that's 8. Next, I'm supposed to drop the 4, but I've got a decimal point. So I put it in the quotient. So now at Yosemite 4, I divide by 14. We take 6 each. 6 times 4 is 24. 2 I memorize. 6 times 1 is 6 and 2 is 8. 8. Subtracting 84 minus 84 will give us a remainder of 0. So we've done the division. Now let's write down our action again. So 3.64 hundredths divided by 1.4 tenths. We get 2.6 tenths. That's the rule of thumb for dividing decimals by decimals. But in order not to perform this action, let's write it in another way. That is, I can't divide by 1.4 decimals, and so I can write it down like this. So I'm paying attention to the divisor. It's 1.4 tenths. In the divisor, I have a decimal fraction and I'm dividing by a whole number. So this point, I have to move one sign to the right. If I move that point, I have to move one sign to the right. And if I move to the right by one sign, then I move that point to one sign in the divisor as well. The result is 36.4 tenths. I divide by 14. This is the action I performed. I divided 36 whole 4 tenths by 14 and the result is 2 whole 6 tenths. Applying this algorithm, you will always divide a decimal fraction by a decimal fraction, and that's all for today. Goodbye, see you again.